Welcome back to the humble throne, where leadership isn't about commanding the room, it's about making space for every voice in it. I'm Todd Robatin, and this is episode 14. Today, we're stepping into one of the most vital and yet vulnerable realms of leadership, leading across our differences, not with authority, but with humility. Let's be honest, differences can feel uncomfortable, whether it's cultural, generational, ideological, experiential, we're wired to seek familiarity. But leadership, it calls us to something different, to lean in, to listen, to lead not despite our differences, but through them and because of them. And it's not just some poetic theme or some checklist, it's a practical, applicable thing for all of us as leaders, regardless of where we stand on the organizational hierarchy. But you see, humility is the key here. Because when you lead with humility, you're not trying to be the smartest person in the room. You're trying to be the most curious. You're not trying to fix people. You're trying to understand them. And that shift from certainty to curiosity, that's what makes inclusion real. I once worked with a team where one member felt consistently unheard. She came from a background that wasn't represented in leadership. Her ideas, they were different. Her tone was different. How she wanted to apply everything that she came up with was different. And slowly she just stopped speaking up until one day a leader asked her, not in a meeting, but one on one, what's something we're missing because we haven't heard you and your feedback? And you see, that question, it changed everything. In that moment, she spoke up, she led, and the team grew stronger because of it. And it wasn't because she answered a question because she felt obliged to do so. That leader of hers opened up the opportunity for her to be seen, heard, and understood. That's humility in action. It's not just inviting difference, but honoring it, respecting it, and giving it its proper place. Here's what humble inclusion truly looks like it's asking before assuming. Instead of, here's what I think you need, ask, what would be most helpful to you right now? It's listening without interrupting, not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly absorbing what's being said and allowing it to set in. It's admitting when you don't know, saying, I hadn't considered that perspective. Can you help me understand it better? And it's creating space for discomfort. Yes, I said discomfort, but also growth at the same time. Because growth rarely happens in our comfort zones. But you see, this isn't about being perfect. None of us are, and none of us really ever will be. But it is about being present. It's not about being performative. It's not a checklist and something to say, hey, we got that grant money because we checked it off that we have inclusion and diversity in our team. It's a posture, it's a respect, it's a value attribute of every good leader. And it has to start with that leader for the rest of the team to know that's exactly what's needed in every environment, whether it's in the workplace, in the family, in the religious circles, or in the community. Now let's pause here for a moment. Take a breath and just think about someone in your world, whether it's your team, your community, your family, your church, just someone who sees the world differently than you do. What's one question you could ask them this week that invites their voice to the table? Now, that question's not one to challenge their opinion or their belief, not to correct it, but just to connect with them, to understand where they're coming from, their perspective, and truly dig into who they are and how they apply that perspective to the whole of their life, whatever that might be. And then go and find that person or text it to them. Find a place to chat over coffee or otherwise and be open to the difference. in a way of understanding and not objection. With that, here are today's humble truths. Number one, inclusion begins with humility, not strategy. You can't spreadsheet your way into belonging. Number two, curiosity is the bridge across differences. Because when you ask with openness, you build trust and relationships that last. And number three, the most powerful leaders make others feel seen, not just heard, but truly seen. Here's your reflection. Who in your world feels unseen? What's one humble question that you could ask to just open that door, to let them be seen, to let them say their difference, be their difference, and learn from it? And how might your leadership as a result shift if you saw these differences as a gift and not a challenge? Now, let's go a little bit deeper here. There's a concept that I want us to apply this week and throughout our lives and throughout our leadership. And we'll call this the inclusion arc. It's a simple framework for leading across our differences, but doing so with humility. And it's built on three main tenets: notice, name, and nurture. Notice allows us to look around and see who's not being heard. Name allows us to physically put a name and identify the difference that is present and how it's showing up. And then nurture is saying, how can we create space to create that difference and thrive with it, to apply it? Now, let's break this down a little bit further. Notice who's not being heard. This is all about awareness. Who's quiet in your meetings? Whose ideas are getting overlooked? Even simply, who's not in the room at all to state their differing opinion? And then naming it. And this one's about honesty. Are there cultural dynamics in play? Is there generational gaps? Are there unspoken or unaddressed biases? You've got to name it, otherwise, you don't know how to address it. And then to nurture it, this is about action. How do you shift the environment so that the difference isn't just tolerated, isn't just something you have to do and you check it off and you've filled your quota, but it's something that's actually valued, respected, and applied at every level of your life, of your team, and of your leadership. You know, a company I once worked with had a board made up of entirely people over 50. And if you don't know anything about me, I'm a little bit younger than 50, so I felt a little out of place. The problem wasn't really that these folks weren't brilliant. They were. Every board member was experienced, committed. They knew the industry like the back of their hand, as the saying goes. But they were struggling to engage, hire, and retain younger leaders like myself and others on our team at the time. And so they invited some of us to join the board meeting every once in a while, not as tokens to say they checked the box for younger folks in the group, but as equals from a very different perspective. And they didn't just ask us to adapt, they didn't say to just get on board or get out. Rather, they asked us, what would make this company feel like yours? And the difference was completely energizing. It was a new language, a new strategy, a new purpose. The company felt more like a team, and not in some weird sense or some weird family that gets a bad rap, but a true, well oiled machine that felt like home. And the board, they didn't just represent difference by doing this, they reflected in everything that we said, and they sought to do it more and more moving forward so that everyone felt involved in the process and no one was left behind. So, again, here's that reflection for this week. Who in your world feels unseen? What's that one question you could ask to open the door? And how might your leadership shift if you saw difference as a gift and not a challenge? Take a moment, write it down, Or better yet, ask it out loud and see what comes out. But then do something different with it. Take action, not from a place of hostility with a I don't understand you. Why are you like that attitude? But from a place of humility that says, I want to hear your perspective so we can all grow and create value together. That's what will make the difference. That's what will change the world. And that is humility in our differences today. Next time, we'll reflect on generosity rooted in humility and how true impact doesn't need a spotlight to matter. But for today, lead with humility, honor the differences around you, and build a throne that welcomes everyone and see how much our world changes as a result. Thanks for joining me again this week on the Humble Throne.